So I live a extremely boring life, but that's okay. That's okay.
I don't know. It sounds pretty good to me. It's like I got beer, I got baseball, I got kids, I got my wife who takes care of all the business side. I don't think it's very boring.
I agree. It's a fantastic, great life, but it's definitely a pretty chill one.
Welcome back to the Brews Line Roadshow. I'm your host, Daryl, and today we're with Ike Orcutt. Did I get that right, Ike?
Yes, sir.
Ike is a brewer and owner of Buckle Down Brewing.
Now, I do brew, but in my wife's defense, she does 99% of the actual hard work of running the business. So shout out to Michelle. She's amazing.
Sounds like a good arrangement. I know she was very, very instrumental in making this happen. So yes. Thank her for me, please.
I will.
So let's just start out with the history of Buckle Down. How, everything starts with an idea, but let's take it from there.
Yeah. So we opened back in 2013. So I'd say for kind of the Chicago area market, we're one of the, I'd say, earlier types. I mean, there were some big boys that came ahead of us, Half Acre Revolution, Two Brothers, but we were kind of that next tranche of breweries that opened. So yeah, we're going on almost 13 years this year.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. But yeah, I was a home brewer. My wife got me started home brewing. Well, I blame her, but for my 30th birthday, she got me like a Mr. Beer kit.
I've heard of that.
Kohl's or something, and made one batch in it. And I'm like, I don't know, this seems like adding like some goop to some hot water and it seemed like there's got to be more to this. And enter the internet and a little obsessive Googling and everything else, and became like a pretty avid home brewer. And then I guess serendipitously, there was a brewery that opened across the street from my job, where I was working in the city at a marketing company, and Haymarket Brewing was opening literally across the street. I got to see all the tanks going in, all the stuff, and kind of struck up a friendship over there with Pete Crowley, who was running it and founded it. And he kind of gave me the confidence, like, hey, man, if you like it and you want to do it, do it. So I had an original business partner at that point named Sean Mahoney, and we ran together here until about 2020. And then since then, it's been myself and my wife, Michelle, running the show.
So, yeah, Haymarket. I have not been to the Chicago location, but I have been to the Michigan location. It's a very, very cool place up there.
That's a big place. Yeah. The Chicago brew pub is definitely a smaller scale, but it seems similar themes to it.
Yeah, we're going to have to get them on the podcast when I'm up in Michigan. So first we got to get them in Tagabrew, then we'll get them on the podcast.
Yes.
So you started a little bit with your personal history getting into brewery, but it sounds like you had a life previous to that. So give me a little bit of Ike's personal story.
Yeah, I mean, I went to the esteemed educational facility of Northern Illinois University. Very, very fine education. Did you go to Northern? No
I sure did.
That's awesome. Yes. Love Northern. I shouldn't disparage it like that. It was good. I met my wife there.
Me too.
Look at that.
I got a son who went there, and a daughter-in-law who went there, and
go Huskies.
And I heard those guys from Two Brothers, or is it Two Brothers, or the one out west?
In Warrenville is Two Brothers.
I heard those guys are Northern Illinois.
Is that right?
Yep.
Man, must be something in the water. I did drink a lot of beer while I was there. So
yeah.
That could have something to do with it. But yeah, went to Northern, graduated in 2001. I worked some sales jobs, doing, chemical sales, technical sales, worked for a marketing organization for a while. I kind of got the itch for some reason that it would be a good idea to open my own business. And I got my wife to buy in on that plan, and off we went. I've got a couple boys. My kids are with 13 and 11. One just turned 11 on St. Patrick's Day. Been married for 23 years. So, just kind of regular guy.
Well, I know I'm going to digress a little bit from Buckle Down, but I have to know, were you at the game at Notre Dame?
Just last year?
No,
was it 2 years ago?
Yeah.
No. Were you? No way.
Yeah. I had my wife's two brothers also went to Northern. So my son went to Northern. My wife obviously went to Northern. So we had about 10 people there. And it was just wonderful.
That's crazy.
I have the hat. I have my Northern Illinois hat with the date and the score written under the brim.
Outstanding. Yeah, my wife's family, huge Notre Dame fans, and it was they were not too pleased about that. They had big aspirations that year, which were dashed by the Huskies.
Yeah, there were 77,000 people, about 7,000 Huskies. So. But I digress. So Buckle Down, tell me where that name came from.
Yeah, really, when we were kind of going through the process of opening a brewery, it's a lot of steps. There's a lot of steps. There's a lot of details. There's a lot of things that need to get done. So we found ourselves kind of like, we got to buckle down and get this done, and buckle down and get that done. It kind of just happened. So we were one of these like, we got to buckle down and figure out what we're going to call this thing. And my partner, great call. It's like, we keep saying buckle down all the time. Maybe that's what it should be called. And Google search said it was free and clear. So off we go. And it kind of matched the way we ran this. We built basically most of the tap room by hand. This table was built, that wall, the flag, everything. A lot of this stuff was made by us. So it kind of felt a little.
It also seems to kind of fit the area too.
Yeah,
kind of
for sure.
More, it's got a kind of a working class kind of vibe to it as well.
Yep, it's pretty blue collar around here for sure. Working class area.
What are some 11? It's 13 years now.
13 years.
13 years. What would you say are some of the most interesting, surprising, or strange things that have happened since you opened a brewery?
That's a good call. That's a good question. Well, let's see. We got sued by a professional athlete several years ago.
Oh,
for what was it? It was we did not get authorization to use his name, image, or likeness. I don't think I can actually say who it was, but if you know, you know. A former NBA player who possibly, almost got into a fight with Michael Jordan at one point. And yeah, it's a stupid idea. But we got a phone call from David Falk, who was Jordan's agent, saying like, what are you idiots doing? It's like, it's more to like honor him. He's like, that's not the way this works. You're going to have to get the checkbook out. So that was a interesting experience. Never thought we didn't actually get sued, but we came to an agreement.
Came to an agreement to stop doing that.
Come to an agreement with a mid-tier professional athlete. So that was a new one. So that was pretty surprising.
That's so funny. So funny.
Yeah, questionable decision making, but you live and you learn, I guess.
Gotta be creative once in a while. Gotta take a roll. Challenges. I'm sure there were many, and I'm sure so let's start with maybe some past ones and then talk about maybe some present ones that you're seeing in the business and in the brewery.
Sure. Challenges in the past. Yeah. So in Illinois, especially, I think, and maybe this is across all states, the brewery distribution relationship is tough. It's a very one-sided situation, which I get. So they wrote these laws in the 70s when there was like 2 breweries and 10,000 distributors that they needed protection. If their brewery left, their business was done. So, but it really changed. It kind of flipped over the last 20 years or so, and they are not interested in giving up any of their power. So it's a tricky relationship. I think that's the biggest challenge we've had. And we've always thought, these distributors are standing in the way of our business, but it's just. I think that's just part of the game. But that was always been a very tricky one. I think then balancing, I think when I grow up, I want to run a brew pub instead of a brewery that distributes, because it's just tricky.
So we'll switch gears. We'll talk about this community around the brewery here in Lyons rather than Lansing. Explain, from people who might not be familiar with all of the suburbs here around Chicago.
Sure.
Just kind of where you are and what the area is like.
Yeah. Yeah. We're about 10 miles west of Chicago. It's kind of a nice little niche. We've got some really great suburbs right by us: LaGrange Park, Riverside, Brookfield. Those are all very like family oriented. They're very nice Americana kind of suburbs. So I would say I have to give like 100% of our success to our customers, especially our customers around the taproom area that come in all the time, come in every weekend, come to our events. They're fantastic. They're very loyal. They care about their local businesses. It's a really, really cool area. I love where we're at. There's actually, 3 other breweries within, I would say, maybe 2 miles. When we opened, there was nobody until you got probably to Naperville or further west. So the Chicago breweries, they were like Naperville, Warrenville, and then there was us. And now there's 3 more right around the area. And we all get along. It's a fun community. Everybody wins, especially at this point. Everybody wins if more people are drinking beer. If people are coming out and having a good time and drinking beer, I think that's a win for everybody.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of press about people drinking less alcohol. How is that, or has that impacted you, or have you seen that? Some have, some haven't.
It's hard. I feel like it's so hard to say. I mean, since we opened, I feel like it's been kind of like trend after trend. And maybe I think that's probably just the way the beverage industry is, whether it was like alcoholic root beer was a big thing when we first opened. Then came like all the seltzers, and then came the high noon. And now it's like more about the NAs and the THC drinks. I think that's just going to be a steady thing. My hope and dream is that, good, solidly made, like classic beers are going to be a mainstay regardless. I mean, people have been drinking beer for thousands of years.
And they have been. And
it's just a different feel, like than hanging out, drinking a bunch of THC drinks. You're coming out and having fun amongst other people. And, so I don't know. And, the dry January thing I think it is a thing. It's so hard for us to say, and we've had construction in the area. I never know why
what's impacted.
Yeah, like what's happening. I don't know.
But it's happening.
Yes, that's what I've heard. I've heard the younger kids aren't drinking as much beer. And I think I've probably seen that.
So you talked about the community and, the tap room and so forth. So what should people expect when they come to the tap room? What's the environment? What's the vibe?
Yeah, I'd say it's like a pretty rustic vibe. Like there's a lot of exposed wood and corrugated metal. It's a pretty industrial kind of feel to it. It's a cozy tap room too. It's really, when we opened, the whole vision was, okay, well, this little kind of tasting room where people can maybe hang out, but more, it's all about getting beer on the shelves. Well, now our business is flipped 100%. It's all about having people come in here. We can give them the freshest beer, have a great experience with our staff, and kind of, we've got a couple TVs, but nothing crazy. We're not a sports bar. It's a bring your own food operation, unless you want to eat some, delicious hot pretzels. Very limited menu. So really, it's about, if you like beer and you like to hang out, it's a perfect spot for it. When it gets a little warmer, we've got a great patio and just a fun place to try some. And I'd say brewery, like beer wise, much more skewed towards like what I call beer flavored beers. Just, I love the classic styles. Not a huge fan of like ultra sweet beer or heavily fruited beers. So it's more like beer flavored beers. We've got a German Pils, we've got a Czech Pils, we've got a Mexican lager, an amber ale. I mean, it's that kind of a vibe from the beer standpoint.
Great. Well, while we're talking about the tap room, probably the next question is your team members. What are some of the qualities, some of the skills that you look for, besides the 2 main team members, which I've met already today? Sure. But as you staff it up, tell me about the team and what you look for when you bring people on.
Sure. Well, we've got kind of our front of the house team. We've had such good luck with our front of the house. Like, we don't have any turnover, barely any turnover. We got a great team: Mary Kate, Michelle, Will, Tyler. It's a really good team. They've mostly been here for a long time. That's, I think, what we look for, is just that attitude of, you want to come in and give good service for the front of the house. Like, everybody's got issues, but you don't want to really bring those into your customers. But yeah, we're looking for people and they're super friendly. Everybody's really nice. We're Midwestern. Like, we're all nice.
There you go.
We're nice around here.
Just a bunch of Huskies hanging around.
That's correct. And then our back of the house guys, we just need people that are always up for like the challenge of the day. I mean, it's like every day's a little different. Who knows what weird thing goes sideways, but you got to be able to kind of roll with it and do. We just try to do our best. Like I tell my Little League kids, just do your best, guys. That's all we can do.
What are some of the flagship beers and what are some of the seasonals you do here at Buckle Down?
I'd say our flagships are really, there's probably two beers that are main flagships. One is called Belt, which used to be called Belt and Suspenders, but that was a little bit of a mouthful and everybody just called it Belt. That's the first beer we ever brewed. Brewed that back around Thanksgiving of 2013. First beer ever. What we would call like a Midwest IPA. So pretty good clarity. It's not a hazy. It's pretty clear. Not really bitter. Big hop aroma, big hop flavor, a little bit of maltiness, just like a very tasty, like Midwest style IPA. I think of like your Anti-Hero, your Two Hearted, those kind of beers where it's not a bitter bomb, very balanced, very delicious. That's Belt. Cactus Pants is another one. That's our Mexican lager. We've been brewing that since 2017, I think. Because when we first brewed it, I was in Florida. We were drinking Modelo's and Coronas. I'm like, if I own a brewery, maybe we should make some of these kind of beers. And that's been a great seller. I mean, especially I feel like as the market evolves, people are gravitating towards a little lighter,
A little crisp, a little more crisp.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. So those are probably our two. Oh, and then Fritzekatz, which is our German lager. And we've been brewing that probably since 2016. That's a delicious beer. I love the Pilsners and lagers. So that's a good fit for me. But those are probably our three main beers. We also do a Hefeweizen called Party Pillow. That's delicious. What was the set? Oh, and then seasonals, right. So we do kind of a rotating seasonal, mostly around beer drinking holidays. So we did delicious Irish Red for St. Patrick's Day that we served on Nitro. That was really good. We'll do an Oktoberfest in September. Then we do some random stuff throughout the year. We'll do like a winter ale, a spicy brown ale called Crackle and Pop. That's fantastic. And then a bunch of random one-offs because it's fun to have a brewery because you get to make lots of beers like black IPAs and hazies that we do. We do some collaborations with other breweries too. So we stay busy.
Now you mentioned some of the flagships. Any beers that you're most proud of?
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're all my children. So, it's
Good
like,
answer.
I can't pick one, but I like we got a Czech Pilsner on right now called, we brewed it for a grocery store in our town called Riverside Foods. It's one of our fantastic accounts, great partner. That's called Riverside Czech Pils, delicious beer. Just like that's what I'm drinking now. It's just like, it's golden, it's light, it's hoppy, it's delicious.
It's what you'd expect to see when someone says, "Here's a beer."
It does
Exactly.
appear to look like a beer. Yes.
You talked about things that go on in the tap room. Give us some examples of maybe some of the events, some of the things you do in the tap room to bring folks in.
Yeah. Well, our next big event, we just got past St. Patrick's Day, which is kind of the kickoff to the beer drinking season in your cold weather brewery area, even though it snowed the day after, but whatever. Hopefully it'll warm up at some point. The next big one we do is our Summerfest, which is kind of all rotates around our grapefruit belt and blood orange belt. So we take our flagship IPA and we grapefruit it and blood orange it. And that's kind of a big one-day party. Bands, it's out in the parking lot. It's always a blast. That's our big event in the summer. Then we do a big Oktoberfest, which is always a ton of fun in September. But then we've got stuff going on pretty much every week. I would say check out our social medias for sure. But the big events are Grapefruit Fest, Oktoberfest, and we do a winter fest called Crackle Fest. That's like we've got s'mores, we've got fire pits outside.
I got to make sure I get back here. I have some relatives that are live over in Riverside, so I do get up here.
I live in
from
Riverside.
time to time.
Love Riverside.
Yeah,
Riverside's the best.
Well, it's kind of interesting because there's a growler up there in my office. It says Buckle Down.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know how it got there, but I have a feeling it's your Riverside neighbors who might have brought it to me. Well, you mentioned that you got some little leaguers, right? What are some things that you do outside of the brewery for fun?
Well, yeah, I coach a little league team. I don't know if that's fun. That's very stressful. It can be extremely stressful. Mostly I chase my kids around to their events. They play lacrosse, they swim, they play baseball. They're very busy.
It's that
little
age.
boys.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm trying to soak it up because I know it's not going to be like that forever. So just enjoying it while it goes on. I theoretically play golf, although I never had time. The one thing with running a brewery and being a brewer is the time is not very available. So, and then spend time with my wife, so I live a extremely boring life, but that's okay. That's okay.
I don't know. It sounds pretty good to me. It's like I got beer, I got baseball, I got kids, I got my wife who takes care of all the business side. I don't think it's very boring.
I agree. It's a fantastic, great life, but it's definitely a pretty chill one.
That's all right. Nothing wrong with
Great.
nothing wrong with a brewery run by somebody who has a chill life. I like that.
Well, blessed.
Okay, 13 years ago, you started this. What would you tell somebody who wants to start a brewery today?
I'd say have a good plan, right? I mean, it's different now. I think you have to always be very cognizant of how are you going to make it a viable business. A lot of people it's like a passion project for a lot of people, right? It's like, it'll be fun. It'll be great. And it is, it's a ton of fun. But if you want to be open for more than a year or two, you've got to have a game plan to make sure it's like financially viable. Super boring answer, but it's true. And I would say, at least in this market, when we opened, you could just kind of open up and it's like, oh, it's a brewery, the tap room, and people would just show up.
Yep, the whole novelty of it.
Yes, a lot of novelty. Now I think you definitely have to have like a great menu or like something else going on besides just a brewery with
well, like you mentioned, the festivals and some of the things you do.
Yeah. We try to keep it fresh for people.
All right. Last but not least, the most important question, at least to me, what beer should I try today?
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. Oh, I would say I want you to try this Riverside Czech Pilsner. It's delicious.
All right, let's give it a shot.
Oh.
And we are back.
Excellent.
And in my hand is some Riverside Czech Pils. Well, I drink a little of this. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what goes in and what makes it so special?
Sure. So it's a Pilsner beer. So Pilsner malt's kind of the key component. That's a very, very lightly kilned malt. It's very light color. It's like a straw, like a light golden color. And Czech beers generally have a hop called Saaz, which is S-A-A-Z, which is one of the noble hops. It's a beautiful aroma. We have a hop we use called Sterling, which was bred out in Oregon State to mimic the oil content and the flavor and aromatics of a Saaz hop, while also being an American hop. It also kind of maximizes yield and better resistance to different things that don't like hops. And it's a beautiful hop. So it's very simple beer, but to me, like any good lager, it's just very well crafted. It's very, very, not a ton of ingredients, not a ton of craziness. It's just very delicious beer. I hope you agree.
Thank you for spending some time with me today.
You.
Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
The Brews Line Roadshow is a production of The Brews Line and presented by Tagabrew USA. Theme music for The Brews Line Roadshow is provided by Mikey Garrett of the band Fever Dream. You can find out more about The Brews Line at brewsline.com.